तेरी है ज़मीन तेरा आसमान, तू बड़ा मेहरबान, तू बख्शिश कर। सभी का है तू, सभी तेरे, साईं मेरे तू बख्शिश कर।
तेरी है ज़मीन तेरा आसमान, तू बड़ा मेहरबान, तू बख्शिश कर। सभी का है तू, सभी तेरे, साईं मेरे तू बख्शिश कर। तेरी है ज़मीन तेरा आसमान, तू बड़ा मेहरबान, तू बख्शिश कर। सभी का है तू, सभी तेरे, साईं मेरे तू बख्शिश कर। तू अंबर हम तेरे तारे, तुम्हारी फूल हम तेरे, तेरे हाथों में लेकर हाथ चले हैं आज हम सारे। तू अपनी नजर हम पर रखना, किस हाल में है ये खबर रखना। तेरी है ज़मीन तेरा आसमान, तू बड़ा मेहरबान, तू बख्शिश कर। सभी का है तू, सभी तेरे, साईं मेरे तू बख्शिश कर।
शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये।
ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः। परमेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
My humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Lord Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Respected elders, brothers, sisters, and loving children, Om Sri Sai Ram. My name is Krish Naidu, and I'm the National Education Coordinator in Sai Organization of Australia. I am most honored to be part of this 96-day offering for Swami's birthday celebration. Tonight, we have SSE teachers from various parts of Australia who will be sharing their experience with Sai and their connection to Sai. I believe it is necessary to recognize the very hard work all of our SSE teachers do. Usually, when it comes to Sai education programs, our children are rightly given prominence. However, the very hard work that goes behind these productions are not fully recognized. I must admit that the teachers are accepting of this arrangement because their happiness is derived from the success of the children. It is becoming increasingly important that we invite members, especially teachers, to share their experience with Swami, because the number of devotees that have had close interaction with Swami are dwindling. There will come a time when none of the members would have had direct contact with Swami in his physical form. Children may ask, did Swami really walk on earth? So tonight, we are going to hear from 6 SSE teachers, all from very diverse professional backgrounds, how their connection to Sai was created and how it is sustained. The SSE program needs to be molded by the teachers so that the children may have their own identity in the world tomorrow. We are also most fortunate to be with Global Council because as members of the Global Council, we will continue to have our connection to Prashanthi Nilayam and have Swami's blessings at that venue. In conclusion, I would like to thank the 96-day program team for giving us this wonderful program. And I also want to thank all the SSE teachers that are participating tonight. Jai Sai Ram.
My humble pranams at Swami's lotus feet and Sai Ram to all of you. Thank you for this opportunity to share my connection to our beloved Sai. I feel very humbled and thankful because every moment talking about Sai brings much joy to all of us. My introduction to Swami was rather unconventional, having first become aware of his existence courtesy of some boys from another school in my hometown shouting, "Sai Baba, Sai Baba," as I rode my bicycle to school. Curious to know why, I soon realized this name calling was by virtue of my curly, afro-like black hair, which I had then. What can I say? Both Baba and I are quite stylish. Some years later, when my father's good friend shared some stories about Sai Baba with me, I started fasting on Thursdays, as I mainly worshipped Lord Vishnu. In 1992, I had an opportunity to visit Puttaparthi when I attended an ear, nose, and throat conference in India. Having traveled overnight by bus from Chennai to Puttaparthi, arriving early morning, I quickly changed and lined up for darshan. I remember the experience so vividly since Sai Kulwant Hall had not yet been erected, but instead there was just white sand stretching in front of the mandir. At 7 a.m., when Swami appeared in front of the door of the mandir, I shall never forget my exhilaration. I can only describe the feeling as being an electric shock pulsating through my entire body. I was in bliss at the sight of him. I was seated in the third row, and later, when he came close, I received direct eye contact with Swami, and he raised his hand in blessing. From that moment on, Swami's grace bestowed several opportunities to grow closer to him. And within a few months, I migrated to Australia for my marriage. My husband Siva was already within the Sai fold, and I joined him in attending devotional activities at Homebush Sai Center. Within a few years, I started assisting Dr. Vithi with Balvika classes. By 1998, I participated in teacher training and formally began teaching. Teaching has always been my passion, even as part of my professional career. I used to teach medical students and later delivered lectures in surgery. Every opportunity teaching Balvikas and later SSC had drawn me closer to Swami. In 2002, I became aware of the Diploma in Human Values course run by the Sai Institute under the guidance of Dr. Paldal. Admittedly, my initial motive in applying was that I would be receiving the certificate directly from Swami. The group thoroughly enjoyed the program along with our trips to Canberra on alternate weekends. When we went to Perthi, everyone thought Swami may not personally distribute our certificates on the appointed day. However, I had 100% faith that our beloved Sai would bless us. And he did, as we were the last cohort to receive our diploma certificates directly from his divine hands. Although Swami fulfilled my desire that day, I soon came to realize that this was not the end goal. Handing me the certificate was simply Swami's calling card to connect me to him through Sai education. Through understanding Swami's teachings, Swami has made me realize that I need to install him in my heart and not regard him as a separate person. That is the power of Sai. As Swami says, the end of education is character. Our education never ends, especially when we are a teacher. Since we are constantly learning from each other and through our students as well, we are the ultimate beneficiaries in reshaping and refining our own character. I feel Swami's divine hand daily at play in my life, which serves to constantly reinforce my faith. I shall share one small incident that occurred around 6 years ago when my father brought one of his friends to my surgery for an ENT consult. Whilst there, Dad also had a blood test done. When the results returned, there was an additional test result for tumor markers which I had not requested. Whilst I know that I did not order the results, the pathology lab confirmed that this had been on the request form. It was indeed Swami's miracle. that it was listed on the request form as the tumor markers were elevated, which led us to proceed with further tests. And my father was diagnosed with very early bowel cancer. It is only through Swami's grace that the cancer was detected at an early stage so that steps could be taken to treat it early. This constant awareness of Swami sustained my motivation to play even a small role in his continuing mission. Happy birthday, Swami! Jai Sai Ram.
ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम साई देव ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा अन्नपूर्णे सदा पूर्णे शङ्कर प्राणवल्लभे ज्ञानवैराग्य सिद्ध्यर्थं भिक्षां देहि च पार्वती
सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणे नमोऽस्तु ते
ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामय सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
गङ्गे च यमुने चैवा गोदावरी सरस्वती नर्मदा सिन्धु कावेरी जलेऽस्मिन् सन्निधिं कुरु
ॐ ओंकारं बिन्दुसंयुक्तं नित्यं ध्यायन्ति योगिनः कामदं मोक्षदं चैव ओंकाराय नमो नमः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. My pranams at the lotus feet of my Swami. Dear brothers, sisters and SSC children, I've been asked to share my journey with Sai with you all. My journey with Sai started in the year 1971 when my father got posted to Bangalore and we went to Whitefield. The ashram I still remember as a child was beautiful ashram, and we had bhajans under a big tree in a tin shed. And after the bhajans, Swami used to mingle up with devotees and children. I was fortunate enough to get a slate written with Om from Swami, which I came home and started writing over it again and again. This was a kind of an invocation to the school for children at that time, and I think my journey started there. My inward journey started there. Now, I'd like to share my connection through education with Sai. I started my Sai education here in Australia for being a SSC teacher. When I started doing, I was more of a service oriented person where I thought that service is the pathway to Swami. Whereas when I got into SSC education and as a teacher, I realized that the human values which we carry within ourselves are to be imparted to the children, and moreover, we make better citizens for the nation. And this was the right time to invest in it. I started teaching SSC as Swamis emphasized that both secular education and spiritual knowledge are required. While education is informative oriented and it relates to the exterior world, whereas SSC is transformation which relates to the interior world. Now, I'd like to talk about my motivation which sustains me with the Sai connection. Of course, my faith with Swami keeps me connected to him, and my Sai family, where we meet because of COVID, we could not meet much, but still we are in touch with each other. Various projects like self transformation, lifestyle, Sai lifestyles are among the things which keeps me going. I'd like to share a small experience of mine with Swami. While doing a seva at Puttaparthi, I was given duties at the Rama temple, which is outside Sai Kulwant Hall. During that time, Swami, while giving darshan, while going out, came so close to us that I could only see Swami and his clean shaven cheeks. When the only question which arose, which came in my mind was, oh, look at Swami, he's such clean shaven. What blades does he use? And my dear fellow brothers and sisters, I got my answer in the next few days, where Chakravarti sir, who does all the allocation of duties, asked one of my team leaders to come and clean the room which is above Sai Kulwant Hall. Here, when we went to clean the room, I saw big 4 packets of Gillette blades, and that was my answer from Swami that my child, I shave with these blades. So in a nutshell, I'd like to say that today, whatever questions, whatever things we have in our mind, in case we surrender it to Swami, it comes within ourselves. We get the answers ourselves. Now, I'd like to end up with a quote by Swami by saying in SSC, especially for teachers, you look after my children, I'll look after your children. Sai Ram.
My humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our dearest Bhagavan, our dearest Lord, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, my Guru, and in my eyes, the principal of all school principals. Loving Sai Ram, and to dearest elders, my brothers and sisters, and to our bright sparks who are our future, our children. My name is Gurmeet, and I am from southwestern Sydney, New South Wales, who is currently actively involved in teaching Sai Spiritual Education, or SSE. During the lead up to our Lord's Advent, I'm most humbled to share with you a short recount of my journey with Sai. My involvement in the Sai organization began almost 39 years ago as a child who didn't know any better than to follow in the path of wherever my parents would take me as my journey with Sai began. My initial involvement started as a Balvika student in Johor, Malaysia, where during that time, my family were very, very lucky to have met a lovely and humble couple by the names of Uncle Ravi and Auntie Viji, who were very dedicated devotees of our beloved Swami. I can still fondly recall our Thursday evening bhajans at Centre, our house bhajans, Global Akhanda bhajan sessions, and when I used to sit with my mother during the evening study circles. As a child, one of my first ever experiences of Swami's presence was the strong smell of vibhuti that would fill our prayer room. But I guess the memory that is most etched in my mind would be the Bal Vikas lessons that I attended as a child. In life, you can't recall everything that you may have done or places that you may have visited. But when something so significant, so inspiring, so motivational engulfs you as a child and instills within you the feelings of joy, love, happiness, peace, perseverance, purity, patience, and growth, you can never erase those sorts of memories from your mind and from your heart. These qualities are the exact qualities my Bal Vikas teachers had modeled to me as a 7-year-old child. They exemplified discipline, humility, simplicity, and sincerity in their actions as gurus. Children are like sponges. They will watch our actions, hear our words, and some even imitate those same actions and words. So as gurus or teachers, we must be very careful in the way that we behave and speak in front of our children, no matter if they're 4 years old or 14 years old, because children are impressionable. Swami has said this about teachers. The first step is that the teacher's minds should be made free of jealousy, differences, and all other bad qualities. Most importantly, teachers must keep away from all kinds of politics that are like injurious insects. This step Swami has shared with us, I feel, isn't only directed at teachers involved in Sai education. It is directed at any teacher in any classroom around the world. My connection in Sai not only occurs and remains active on Sundays while delivering SSE lessons to students. The teachings of Swami have enabled me to become confident and disciplined in making sure my duty as a classroom teacher in the primary school setting involves thoughtful and intensive preparations of lessons and activities, discovering ways to ensure that there is effective communication with all students, no matter what age and what ability, but most importantly, always reflecting on ways of how, as a teacher, I can continue to inspire and evoke curiosity or learning and well-being of all my students. I love the part where Swami says, a teacher should interact with his colleagues in cordial, loving terms. As human beings, this can be very difficult, given the challenges that we face as individuals. We all possess our beliefs, work ethic, and we all react differently in different situations. Our dispositions vary from person to person. I also love that Swami has said secular and spiritual education are like two halves in the seeds of pulses. The germ that sprouts is in between. It is fed by both. It is because of Swami's connection that I can find myself reacting less hastily and instead being proactive. It is because of Swami's connection and the strong faith and trust that I have in Bhagavan that I can surrender my actions, my thoughts, and my decisions to him. I'm able to stay connected to Sai through having conversations with Swami and always thinking of Swami at work, at home, shopping, driving, or walking. I know Swami listens and he's watching.
Shri Ram Ram Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranam Tatulyam Ramanama Varanane. Manojvam Marutatulyavegam Jutendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam वानरयूतमुख्यम् श्रीरामदूतं शरणं प्रपद्ये ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ आदिदेव नमस्तुभ्यं प्रसिद्ध मम भास्करा दिवाकर नमस्तुभ्यं प्रभाकर नमोऽस्तु ते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिहृद्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः असतो मा सकमया तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमया मृत्युं मा अमृतं गमया ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Our humble pranams at the lotus feet of our dear Lord, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. We thank Swami today for this wonderful opportunity that he has given us to speak with my mother, Madam Leelavati Somasundram, who has had the wonderful privilege of being trained as a Balvika's guru by Swami himself. Not once, but twice in the year of 1981 and again in 1983. Sai Ram, Amma.
Sai Ram.
Amma, would you like to talk to us about the 1981 and 1983 teachers training, as well as, more importantly, to speak to everyone here, the listeners, with regard to what Swami had said about the teachers, the role of the teachers, role of parents, role of the children. I'm sure the listeners would love to hear what Swami himself had told you all.
Yes, I'm very happy to share all these experiences that Swami has given me and the other teachers. And thank you, Swami, for giving me this golden opportunity to reminisce the sweet memories of the training.
Yes, it must be very sweet memories. Yes, Amma. Now, tell us about the training itself. How many days were you all trained?
Well, we were trained for 5 days, and in the year 1981 and in 1983.
So both years you had 5 days
Yes,
each.
5 days of training.
Yes, and tell us about the timing.
The timing you started at 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. 5
Every
days.
day.
Yes.
So no darshans, no bhajans.
Yeah, we missed the darshans and bhajans, but Swami himself came to give us darshan.
Wow, very nice. So Swami gave you all darshan during the training.
Yes, he was there every day with us.
Every day. What does Swami expect about the children?
First thing Swami was telling is about the white attire they have to wear, because this one is like teaching the children. Swami said, why the white? Because if there is a dark spot on the clothes, it is easily noticed by others around them.
Very noticeable, yes.
Yes, and noticeable, and then they will be pointing at the the dark
dot,
spot,
yes.
saying that, oh, your clothes is dirty.
Yes.
Then the child is like, oh, how my clothes are dirty, so I shouldn't, get my clothes dirty.
That's
so the child is learning to be aware.
Yes.
Oh, I should not go there, I should not do this. In this way, what Swami refers is that the dark spot or the dirtiness in the clothes
Yes.
is their character.
Right.
So children should be aware not to do anything
That
bad.
will harm the character.
No bad actions
Correct.
or the speech and everything.
Yes.
So in this way, the children will be aware and they will learn to be always doing pure. They are having pure thoughts, good deeds, and good actions. Yeah.
So basically saying that children should be careful, as careful as they are of their white attire not
Yes.
getting dirty,
yes,
they should be also very careful
With
about
their
their character and how they can get dirty as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, parents they said that they should bring their children to class in time,
Mm.
and they have to see that the children attend these classes, and when they are back home, they have like a revision with them what they did in class and what they learned.
Right.
And also that.
The spiritual diary helps to do
Yes.
that, yeah?
Yes. So the parents, we have to have a once a month meeting with the parents, and the parents should sign their spiritual diary,
Right.
which will be given to the children every week.
Yeah.
Because then the teachers are aware of what is happening at home. And during the meeting with the parents, we are also knowing how the children are progressing in their lessons and educations and their spiritual way.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So with the role of parents, I remember you were talking about including parents into the activities like sports, SSE sports.
Yes.
Maybe you want to quickly touch on that.
Yeah. Because Swami said include the parents. Don't leave them away, because they are, when they get involved, the children are motivated.
Right.
And they should be welcome them into their children's activities, the SSC activities like sports, games, and sketches, dramas, and plays. So
Right.
that they can help around, and the children are happy to see the parents around.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some parents have told us, that they would like to sit in the classroom, because they want to learn as well. So, what did Swami say about that?
Swami said those who have missed the boat, very sorry, they can't come in. And of course, Swami doesn't want parents to be in the class, because the children will be distracted. You see,
Right.
they'll be always turning around, and I've noticed that too, because some parents do be waiting for the child, because the child starts crying anything. The child always runs back to the parents, or they will turn and look at the parents where their concentration is not there.
Correct.
So Swami says no parents in class.
Correct. I think one last point we missed on the gurus themselves. I remember you saying about roles in the organization.
Oh yes, that what Swami said, because no gurus, well, because gurus should take
Should not-
hold any other position in the center or organization, because this teaching is a very important role they are doing, which they need lots of time to prepare the lesson, to be perfect in their teaching.
Right.
That's why I said no other rules.
No other rules. Yeah, that's because, of course, if you have to prepare your lesson plan
Yeah.
1 month ahead, obviously his expectation is if we took up other roles, we might not be so dedicated
Yeah,
as a
but it
guru.
is very true, because when I prepare, I do feel it, because the 1 month is sometimes not enough, because there's so much to do. You want to do a good job, so
That's
you
right.
have to prepare a lot. Yeah.
Correct. I think this all the time we have, Amma.
Yeah.
We just want to conclude.
Oh,
So,
okay.
is there anything you would like to tell us in conclusion? And we will stop here for today.
Yeah, I would just like to conclude Swami's quotation. I will read it to you. Dear teachers, When you teach the children, you must remember that you are engaged in a noble task. You must feel that you are educating yourself when you educate the children. Your own understanding of the subject improves. You too derive joy from the study. Always have the feeling that whatever you do for others in reality or service, done to the divine that resides in everyone. You will be imbuing the children with the spirit of universal love. Children have tender hearts and innocent minds.
So
Sairam.
is that what Swami said
Yes.
to all of you during the training?
Yes, you're right, because that made us feel great, because we like
They're doing a
he's
good
given
job.
us a big task that we should.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Amma, for this wonderful opportunity to talk to you. I know you have this much to share. I'm so glad Baba has given us today to bring this out to everyone else. Thank you so much, and Jai Sai Ram.
Jai Sai Ram to all.
Sairam, my most humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of my beloved Swami, my mother, father, friend and guide. Being brought up by a very religious and God-loving parents, I have always been fortunate to be in the atmosphere of caring and sharing. Swami thus created that connection that has helped me in every way to what I am now. I still remember very clearly the visits and the darshans of Swami we used to have as a family at Shivam in Hyderabad. And I guess that strengthened further when we used to sing bhajans at home daily. But this joy lasted only for a few years, maybe until I was 6 years, when we moved to our new home away from Shivam. Slowly, our visits to Shivam reduced, and so did Swami's darshan. And eventually, the bhajans also stopped at home. Although we as a family still did our daily prayers, etc., even without realizing, we missed Swami. Personally, from my very childhood, I was a very shy person, conversing with people. I had a very high inferiority complex that my spoken English was not really that fluent compared to my siblings. I was very short-tempered, aggressive, naughty, and cheeky too. I had made several attempts to go to the USA and New Zealand for my higher education, but was not able to. Maybe they were not the places meant for me to go. Swami is the director of this play called Life, and he creates all the connections at the right time, place, and with the right people. As a matter of coincidence, I would say coincidence, I landed in Australia as a student in pursuit of obtaining a permanent residency. It was a very difficult decision to make, as my wife was expecting a baby in a couple of months' time. As the saying goes, pain is an interval between two pleasures. I arrived in Australia with a mountain load of pressure on me to complete my education, support myself whilst being a student, and pay up the huge debt. More importantly, be responsible, and this is where my actual journey began. I managed to complete my 2 years of masters in 1 year and received my permanent residency. The serious learning was yet to begin. In this world of Sai web, Swami is in the epicenter, and the threads reach out far and wide in all directions, full of surprises and unknowns. After almost 28 years, on a Thursday, my childhood memories sprang to life, and I felt as if I was on cloud 9, with the memories of Swami walking among the devotees in Shivam, blessing them with plentiful of vibhuti and bhajans we used to sing at home, as if they just all happened just yesterday. From then on, Thursdays were marked in our calendars as bhajan days, as we used to attend bhajans at a Sai center close by, and everything else revolved around the bhajans. Swami says, "My work is my blessings." As a regular member to the Sai center, I was requested to teach small value-based stories to the children. Not sure why they have chosen me. Although very hesitating initially, I agreed to start telling some stories that I knew and engage the children on Sundays. So my Sundays also revolved around this activity, Bal Vikas. As the time progressed, I had the opportunity to attend the SSC Teachers Training course organized by the organization at the time, and became an SSI certified SSC teacher. This was the first time I started learning about the teachings of Swami. The training further strengthened me understanding the importance of human values, character development in children, and how the teaching aid self-transformation of teachers itself. I also started realizing that various office bearers roles the Swami created within the organization are purely for self-development and self-transformation. I've been very fortunate to learn and improve myself serving in various office bearers roles as an education coordinator, devotional coordinator, center president, and many others, both at the center and the region level. When I look back, I can see the grand plan that Swami had, the various kinds of people that I needed to meet, interact with, the situations that I had to learn from. There have been numerous challenges that I had to face, and I could see Swami also provided me the means to face those challenges and be successful. I have failed many times as well, but they were only my first attempts in learning. I thank Swami for being with me all the way, guiding me spiritually by allowing me to be his instrument, nurturing me in the form of my physical parents, loving me unconditionally as my wife and children, supporting me during my difficult times as my friends, providing me an opportunity to give back to the community. I would also thank you all for giving me an opportunity to share my journey and learnings being guided by Swami. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. My name is Anush Suknandin and I am from the Sai Center of Toowoomba, Queensland. I offer this talk at the Divine Lotus feet of my dear Lord Sai. Now, each one of us in the Sai fold has a very special story to share when asked about our connection and journey with Swami. Mine is no different. I was not born into a Sai family, but nonetheless into a very spiritual family guided by my parents from a young age. My experiences began as a fourth-year medical student, and I will share a couple of the defining moments. And Swami's quote, "Be fearless, God is with you, proceed on life's journey with courage," has played true throughout my life. My introduction to Sai came in the context of a personal family tragedy, the loss of my young brother-in-law to cancer within 6 weeks of his diagnosis, and my family clutching onto Swami's feet, hoping for a miracle. But later, this relationship became about his love, his compassion, and his guidance. When Sai came into my life, it felt like I had found a long-lost friend and guide. Even my meeting with my husband, Sudesh, was no accident, and I knew from the moment I met him that he was going to be someone special in my life. I had always asked Swami for his guidance, and this was confirmed when I met Sudesh's mum and realized that she was a Swami devotee too. The most defining moment of our lives on our journey with Sai and building our faith and devotion to our loving Lord occurred on the 23rd of November, 1999. Yes, on the occasion of Swami's birthday. On that auspicious night, as our young family was getting ready to go for the Swami birthday function, I received a call from a concerned stranger living close to Sudesh's surgery, telling me that my husband and his 2 members of staff were taken at gunpoint in his car while he was locking up for the night. I recall then informing the security company responsible for the car's security to dispatch the search helicopter and necessary authorities, then took my 2 little children, then 5 and a year and a half, with me into the prayer room. We sat and we prayed together, surrendering everything to him, not knowing that Sudesh and I were both surrendering at that very same time to his divine will. There was no family, not even my Sai family on that birthday night. It was just my Sai and I. Swami says, "Why fear when I am here?" After my prayer, calm and collected, I called a family friend and asked them to come over for the long overnight vigil. I must remind you that returning from a hijacking alive in South Africa was unheard of. In fact, the gun trigger was activated that night, but it jammed. I leave the rest to your interpretation. Sudesh was returned to us safely within a few hours of the hijacking. This experience removed all illusions and replaced it with only Sai. I believe this was our true birth into Sai revelation. We are only his instruments, he is the doer, and we must trust in his will, whatever the outcome. Later, we found ourselves in Australia, again with divine guidance, leaving everything behind and continuing our journey with Sai. When we arrived in Australia, there was no SSE in our area. So I took the initiative to start one in our home because my daughters needed the direction and focus that SSE has to offer. A few years later, we finally had an opportunity and did our teacher training course. but hesitated to restart SSE, knowing the huge commitment involved. But of course, Swami had his own plan. I had a Swami dream. I remember this vividly to this day. I found myself in an interview room sitting at Swami's feet. Swami very lovingly looked at me and said, "They are waiting." And I asked Swami, puzzled, "Who, Swami?" And Swami sweetly replied, "The children, they are waiting. I want you to start the classes." I was shocked, and in that moment, I asked Swami, "But how will I manage, Swami?" And Swami lovingly replied, "I will be there. And who am I to question the Lord of the universe?" And so we started SSE in Toowoomba, and actually, since then, whenever we commence the lesson with our 3 Oms, we know that Swami is there. We feel his divine energy and his love, and the children sometimes also remind me he is with us. So never fear, when things need to be done, he is there with you. Make yourself available and he will make you able. You will be surrounded by his love, his grace and protection always. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Jai Jagadish Hare Swami Satya Sai Hare Bhakta Jana Samrakshak Bhakta Jana Samrakshak Pati Maheshwara Om Jai Jagadish Hare Shashi Vadana Shrikara Sarva Pranapati Swami Sarva Pranapati Ashrita Kalpalatika Ashrita Kalpalatika Avatandhava Om Jai Jagadish Hare Mata Pita Guru Daivamu Mariyantayu Neeve Swami Mariyantayu Neeve Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nagena Shayana Om Jai Jagadish Hare Omkara Rupa Ojasvi Sai Mahadeva Satya Sai Mahadeva Mangala Arati Anduko Mangala Arati Anduko Mandara Giridhari Om Jai Jagadish Hare Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva Shanti 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 Samastalokaः Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaः Sukhino Bhavantu शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।
Sairam all. Just a reminder, we are now live on YouTube and Facebook. You can search on YouTube for Sai Organisation of Australia. Please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to receive updates and reminders of our upcoming inspirational programs. On Facebook, please search for Sai Organisation of Australia and like and follow our account. Please visit our website on sai.org.au to keep updated with upcoming programs in the 96 Days devotional offerings, news of our service activities, and inspirational updates.